Now, your chapter in the book Australia Tomorrow is a very important one. In it, you reasserted the importance of creating new jobs and the dignity that accompanies work. As a minister in the previous coalition government, you were very passionate, I know, about boosting TAFE programs, etc. Do you think Australia has to snap out of this fixation that every student must go to a university to attain a degree they may never use and instead promote a career in the trades?
Oh, yet again, you've hit the nail on the head. That is exactly right. Whether it is the choice of university or the choice of vocational education and training, they should be seen as equal. In fact, though, I would go as far as saying, Jake, that what employers are screaming out for at the moment is work-ready employees from day one. And guess what system gives you that? It's actually the vocational education and training system. And that's why when I was the skills minister, I was absolutely delighted to be part of a government that provided record investment to vocational education and training in Australia. We invested over $7 billion in the training system. We had a record number of Australians in training. I think there was around 220,000 apprentices and trainees. If you recall, we invested in a program called Job Trainer with the states and territories. But what was the key to this program? The key was we provided free training courses, but they had to be in areas of labour market demand. Under the former coalition government, we trained you to get a job. And what worries me about Labor's recent announcement is that the money that they are putting into the system is only going to public providers' TAFE, when we know that industry training providers, they actually train around 70% of those in training. So you'll have a total distortion of the market, and that's something that Australians should worry about.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And look, one last one before you go. The government has vowed to shut the Australian Building and Construction Commission as soon as possible. For viewers, this was the watchdog of the construction industry. Michaelia, what effect will this have on productivity?
Well, it goes back to the key word that you articulated, productivity, which is exactly what you just said. When you hand the building and construction industry over to the most militant union in Australia, all you will see is a loss of productivity. The building and construction industry in Australia employs around 1.15 million workers. It contributes around 9% of our GDP. Why? Why, if you wanted to create full employment? Why, if you want to drive higher wages? Why, if you want to drive higher productivity, would you put all this at risk? Jake, there is only one answer, because the CFMMEU in Australia provide millions of dollars to the Australian Labor Party. And again, donations come in by way of money from the union movement and policy goes out. Anthony Albanese has shown in the first 100 days of his government, whether it's the ACTU, the AWU, the TWU, the CFMMEU, he will put the interests of the union movement in Australia above the interests of all Australians. And that does not bode well for Australia's future. And it doesn't bode well, Jake, for Australians in particular when it comes to what they're screaming out for. And that is just a plan to address the rising costs of living.
That's right, and some leadership. It seems like Sally McManus is the real treasurer. Yep. She's the real treasurer, not Jim Chalmers. Well, look, it's always good to hear from a passionate Liberal. Keep up the fight, and thank you for joining me tonight.
It was great to be with you, Jake. Thank you very much.
That's Michaelia Cash, Liberal Senator for Western Australia and the opposition's Industrial Relations spokeswoman.